The evil is defeated. Previously, I took my 50 favourite stories and tried to find a flaw in each. Some of them were nitpicks, some of them were unearthing something quite foul. The exercise was about scrutinising things that I hold close to my heart, and I found it really fun. So, we're gonna do it again. With these two videos combined, you'll have my top 100 Doctor Who stories of all time. Consider it conclusive, because there are 319 of these things, and it's possible we might not be getting many more in the near future. We are stuck with what we have. Let's critically reappraise the best of the best. If I cannot find something substantial to say, that is a strike. 3 strikes and the video ends. In the comments below, yeah, that's right, tell me your favourite story and one fatal flaw that stops it from being perfect. Because perfect art probably doesn't exist, and perfect art would be boring. Number 50. Pyramids. Pyramids of Mars is untainted. It's so good that you can just put it in an episode of currently airing drama and the characters will just crowd around the screen and watch it. It's that good. But how do we criticize it? Can we? I think that every single Doctor Who story ever made has one pretty embarrassing thing in there. Pyramids is just the perfect example of this theory because we have a new apocalyptic scale villain with a big booming voice, gore, real consequences if we lose. And yet it still has the Doctor get into the tomb by solving children's logic puzzles. Listen, I get it. Sometimes part 3s have to slow down and invent an arbitrary obstacle, but they don't get more arbitrary than this. The ultimate god of death is sealed away in a forever tomb that any Year 7 could solve. On one hand, adorable interactive element for young viewers, love it. On the other hand, I'm not sure it thematically goes with the rest of the ultra-violence and god-fearing myth-making. You can call it tonal whiplash, I just think it's kinda funny. There are some big lore plasters over this fact, which is always the telltale sign that it's something that fandom is embarrassed of. Yeah, I don't think the classic series was ready for this kind of villain or these kind of stakes yet. But as you'll see in the rest of this list, every good story has one little thing you have to squint your eyes for. That just happens to be Pyramids of Mars' one. And it's its only one. 49 Rose. Pizza. The villain of this story, like the main threat, has a subplot that always goes by unnoticed. The Nestine consciousness really wants to try pizza. Pizza. Amazing, inspired stuff, but I wouldn't lead with that. The whole wheelie bin CGI burp stuff is a litmus test for how much cheese you will be able to tolerate to get to some really good sci-fi drama. Rose lands all of it. It's very grounded, which makes the moments of outright cartooniness in the first few seasons all the stranger. If your friend is starting Doctor Who where they're meant to start Doctor Who, they gotta get past the wheelie bin. 48. It Takes You Away. Yeah, there's actually a fair bit of Whittaker on here. It Takes You Away does feel like 3 different stories. They're just ideas more than a coherent narrative linking them, but I also think that's its appeal. That's not a problem. Frog on a chair? That's the opposite of a problem. No, I'd say a fair note I'd have on the script is that the Doctor's uber competent in it. As the second act wraps up and they get back to the bedroom, there's a burst of rapid exposition. The Doctor suddenly knows everything that's going on, knows what a solitract is, knows the score, and knows how to solve the story. And that dump is a bit of a writing shortcut, because there's no natural learning of information throughout the story. Because without that, and all that cut content, there's not much pushing this story to the end. And also, the day is saved by the solitract actually just being quite nice.
You and I will be friends forever.
47. The Moonbase. In the Moonbase, sexism is rampant. Yeah, despite how much we owe this story in establishing the status quo, The dialogue in this one is pretty inexcusable. You cannot see past it. The Doctor puts on his polite voice whilst telling Polly to go and make the tea. Screaming damsels in distress. Sorry, I seem to remember this character being a 60s feminist.
Look, come on. Haven't we got enough trouble without you two fighting each other?
Well, I go. Now, well, come on then. But not you, Polly. This is men's work.
Oh dear.
The Doctor starts embracing the hero archetype in the Moonbase. Sadly, it's at Polly's expense. The Three Doctors. Blobby monsters. 1, 2, 3... Blobby monsters. This is one I did show to a friend back in the day. They expressed some interest in Classic Who, and I thought, well, it worked for me. The Three Doctors is kind of farcical. It's great fun, but your mileage may vary. Also, they call this thing the Three Doctors, but 1 and 2 don't do anything. I don't know why 2 is here, but I'm happy he is. Is he the comic relief? Is he the sex appeal? Hellbent! Egg on my face. This story has just grown and grown with me. Even though when I watch it, I do still groan and groan. It's a beautiful character piece, and is really the only story that you could appropriately tell. I find it profoundly well acted, profoundly romantic, rebellious as hell, but so little of this landed on original broadcast for so many. Why is that? Clara fatigue, a rejection of lore, subverting the season arc. Listen, those criticisms have aged like milk. We went back to that formula. We did a Gallifrey lore epic. It was called The Timeless Children. No, for me, the problem was always laid in the pacing. Okay, so Hellbent is an hour long. He takes charge of Gallifrey at the 19-minute mark. Clara is resurrected at the 20-minute mark. And then we get to the TARDIS at the 35-minute mark, where we are going to spend pretty much the rest of the story. Almost half of the runtime. And nothing in here is really that compelling. It's especially strange because 12 Clara scenes in a TARDIS have been the crowning moments of their time together on this show. Some of their best ever stuff is just the two of them duking it out. I always thought it was odd to go back to Donna as specifically as an example of treating companions with agency. The Doctor respecting a companion's bodily autonomy, giving their death and therefore their life dignity. Brilliant. This is neither of their best material. All of these conversations seem to come out of nowhere. A shielder feels like an obligatory last-minute inclusion. The memory loss device comes out of nowhere. That feels so sudden even now. Invoking the ending of Journey's End is pretty random 5 seasons later, but it's a good example of what the story ends up being about. I see the motive, I see what you're doing. I just don't buy it. It's a dud on the page, it's a dud in the camera, it doesn't look good. Rachel Talale and her DOPs really deliver some flat stuff sometimes. And lighting doesn't even come into it, more on that later. I don't even think they're particularly powerful performances. You're relying on these two so much for this ending to work. And Maisie Williams is also there. And yet, listen to this line from Capaldi.
I went too far. I broke all my own rules. I became the hybrid.
That to me still sounds comical. Oh, Donna, look at me. I became the Time Lord victorious. Can we please get a second take? Yeah, it's just uncharacteristically flat all the way round. Their scenes in the TARDIS in Kill the Moon, they're better. Their scenes in Dark Water, they're better. Nobody talks about half of this episode's runtime. It's a season finale. That's nuts. And you forget just how long we are in this white TARDIS, desperate to leave. Off she goes. Goodbye, Clara Oswald. You have successfully been liberated from Doctor Who. Maybe that'll happen to me one day. 44. Paradise Towers. My answer to this one is pecs. Let's talk about the revival's most underrated. It's The Beast Below, an adventure I grow to love more and more the longer I live in the United Kingdom. Its world is not completely thought through. The lower levels of the Starship UK are head-scratching if you think about them for too long. The adults in the story verge on irritating, and the children just disappear entirely. For a story so focused on children trying to grow up in a fascist England, they just disappeared. Why do they even keep sending them if they know the whale won't eat them? I don't care. It's clearly an image that Moffat won't compromise. The metaphor of The Beast Below is worth the rest of it. So I can't even in good faith say that that's a problem. That I don't really want to explore the world. It's a shame, but it's not like it doesn't make its point. I'm meant to hate these people. It's meant to look miserable and run down. Hell, this story actually comes the closest to looking like a classic Who production-wise, doesn't it? No, I've got nothing. Its own writer might disagree with me, but this is perfect for what it's trying to do. Not to mention gutsy as an episode 2 of a new run. But yeah, okay, the first in the Entrap a Giant Animal trilogy will lead to my first strike. No problem with that. If you haven't cracked this one out in a while, I'm dead serious. It's really that good. No Doctor Who fan has any right to talk to me today. 42 is Amy's Choice. This one took me a while. I just paused the recording and had to think for a good minute. As a kid, I always found it strange that nobody tests the realities for inconsistencies. There's no playful problem solving on that front. It's a binary decision in this one. And yeah, no, it has to be that. My adult criticism is that Ledworth is way more explored than the TARDIS plot. They're totally imbalanced, so you're not really picking between two realities, you're picking between Ledworth or not Ledworth. Invasion of the Killer Grands is a Doctor Who story. There's a Doctor Who parody going on over there. What's going on in the other one? They've got some blankets on. It's getting a bit cold. It would have been fun to be able to play along. It's very obvious for anybody over the age of 10 that neither of them are real realities, because both options are massive anticlimaxes. And then the story ends on an anticlimax anyway. It's all in service of Amy's character, but I think there was more gamification to be had along the way. Tomb of the Cybermen. So there's just, there's nothing clever about it. Absolute silver-studded classic. A fun, haunted house with a great cast, brilliant performances, and iconic imagery. There's also not a brain cell in its head. The archaeologists have no plan, no security, no clue. The Cybermen have no plan, no security, and no clue. They're not hidden away well. The only way they were ever going to be woken up was by a bunch of human intruders getting in. There's not much in the way of lore or story complications down there. The Cybermen wake up, kill a couple guys, and the day is saved by sending them back to bed. End episode. Does a haunted house ride like Tomb of the Cybermen need to be a thinking man's bit of sci-fi? No, not at all. But there's a lot in this story that you let slide. 40, Empress of Mars. I really rate this one, and yet its biggest flaw jumps to my mind. It just doesn't have enough fun with the alt history. The English colonized Mars in this world, long before the 20th century. Cool, okay, I'm on board with it. It's very tongue-in-cheek and very Doctor Who. Why doesn't Mark Gatiss do anything with it? From this point on, it's a very sober story. As it stands, I wouldn't even call it genre play. It's just a thing that happened. You could change the uniform, make them future grunts from a future Earth, and the story would be near identical. The Visitation. Easy one. The Visitation is so well paced. I think it's great. But then you get to the finale. And a last-minute bust up in a barn is a bizarre conclusion to any Doctor Who story. I know in the 80s things got a bit physical, but we're just like rocking up for a fight in this. A drunken brawl is what starts the fire at Drury Lane and stops the Pteroleptil's plan. Just very dumb. 38 is another classic serial that I rate really highly. It's Terror of the Autons. In Terror of the Autons, I don't know if you've seen it lately, the Master is an afterthought. Just a complete last-minute thing. You know when you're done here, Master, the Nestine might even turn on you. Oh, yes, I suppose it could. Yes, well, I don't want that to happen. This week's monster is scary, Doctor. Goodbye. Goodbye, Master. You really must think your next one through. That's how the story ends. Did he really not consider this at any point in the planning stage? And from memory, there's not really any inclination that the Autons are going to backstab him. The mere suggestion of it is enough to send him running. Hilarious. That's my king. Is he going to be stuck in a tooth forever? Maybe.
Hello, this is the vacuum residence.
Hi, Ben. I need your help. I'm doing one of those list videos, and I realise that I don't actually remember Power of the Daleks at all. I could rewatch it, but then I thought it'd be much funnier to sell out one of my friends. This is your favourite story ever, isn't it?
Mm.
There's an ongoing joke on your channel that you are married to Power of the Daleks. So that's quite thrilling.
Mm.
I don't want to make you choose between me and her, but basically, if you can think of any nitpick or issue with that story, it'd be huge.
Mm. Who better to criticize someone than their spouse?
I seem to remember there's a 15-minute bit of the episode where Daleks just come off the factory line shouting. Is that anything?
Okay, so Power of the Daleks spent a lot of time focusing on things that aren't Daleks, which isn't an immediate disqualification, but it does mean that I think it can go further on some things. I think Vulcan as a location, as a setting, it could do with a bit more texture. We have this uprising. Half of the colonists are plotting against the existing governor, Hensel. And the guy who's masterminding this whole thing, Gragan. He's the Daleks in micro form. And so that all works, but the actual colonists and the existing government, they're all very vague and ill-defined. We assume that the rebels have good intentions behind them and some legitimate grievances. We're not given too much. And that might be the point, but apparently the novel adaptation fleshes this out a little bit more. So I guess that's what I've got to go on. It's kind of vague.
And if that's you saying that, then I know that that's probably a fair criticism of the story. Yeah. Honestly, it was a surprise to me to remember that there were even other human plots going on. All I could recall was Lesterson stuff, the scientist who thinks he invented the Daleks. There's actually quite a few groups vying over the Skaro boys, and maybe that's saying something. That I don't even remember a good half of these other motivations.
Exactly. I think the story expects you to fill in some of the gaps yourself.
Cool, so we're agreed. It's that bit where it's the fact they're all really loud. I'm so glad we can have these conversations, Ben.
Well, there we go.
Next one. 36 is the Sunmakers. Broad. Everybody wants to claim the Sunmakers. A left-wing reading would look at the corporate exploitation and say that that's the bad guy. The right-wing reading might say there's an overfocus on bureaucracy. And that's the subject of the satire. The politics are just hazy because they're not particularly deep. This is a story, lest we forget that it was inspired by Rob Holmes having to pay some tax. It's a satirical cartoon, and it works as one. But you don't need to be as approachable when your story is already starting with a worker committing suicide. This isn't an approachable topic, and it wouldn't have hurt to go a little bit more in detail. The one-note gag of everything is taxed on Taxland, that's a Doctor Who story. Cool, yeah, sign me up. But it's not very decisive or incisive commentary. In terms of the events and the visuals, we aren't pulling punches, so why is the script? The satire is about deep enough to fill out a 3-panel comic column, but we actually have to spend 4 parts living in this world. But if you're going after subject material like this, you need a bit more to chew on. Satire needs a target, and if there was a specific target in mind, it wasn't picked very passionately. But some make us slaps. Just project whatever you want onto it. That's what you're meant to do. It's not a million miles away from Kablam. 35. The God Complex. I think this story is a 10 out of 10 until final 5 minutes. It's not even a bad ending to the story. It just loses me a bit. I didn't realize there really was a mystery in this story. I just accepted the setting as it was presented to me. But no, it was a hologram in space, and the Minotaur was a jailer. I find all this wrap up very superfluous, and it would have just done better left as an abstract environment, especially as we get these last minute bits of information after Amy has already resolved the story. And it was an emotional resolution. It wasn't a plotty one. I just don't think we need this. We've already accepted the premise, we've had a story in this world, and there were no complaints. Trust in your mystique. Not everything needs a sci-fi twist at the end. Next up is The Happiness Patrol. And this story, it's got production issues, it's got a shoestring budget with massive ideas, it's weird as all sin, the Candyman is here.
Candyman?
No, sir. Not for me. The only problem with the Happiness Patrol is that this place is a cakewalk. Maybe it's something to do with the social commentary or the budget. This society is tiny. This place is an incredibly fragile regime, and it's a regime that is toppled in record time. This is a place that defeats itself. They do executions in the streets. On every single corner, there is a resistance fighter. Again, I think the satire went so far that we don't have an actual grounded world with any real threats. Its weirdness, at times, is a bit pitiful. Like, you're not going to be scared of these cops, are you? The Happiness Patrol probably plays out the same whether the Doctor arrives or not. All he and his friends do is kill a dog. 33 is Can You Hear Me? The bad guy in this one gets you whilst you sleep, which is really fitting because this story is slept on. It does have a very unfortunate, infamous beat at the end where Graham goes to Doctor Who and asks for help with his fear of his cancer returning. I don't want to join the chorus of people complaining about this. I think it always has worked. The takeaway for the Doctor in this episode is that humans have the ability to open up and share their problems. What's Doctor Who not doing this season? Any of that. Yes, it probably could have done with a little bit more time in the cooker, but I think that bit of spikiness is a valid character beat. That is just really setting up the finale. Unfortunately, it does match a pattern of 13 being an asshole to her companions, so that's a shame. I actually want to go for someone else. It would have been a great time to learn more about Graham and Ryan. Yaz gets serviced well, for once, but not much in the way of new information for either of the boys. It's so good to have an episode that's interested in all 3 of them, so go all out, use the runtime. Also, there's that one weird bit where 13 sucks up the sonic screwdriver using her brain. Whoop! Now, why would Pertwee be allowed to get away with that, yet for some reason Whittaker can't? Now that's a Doctor Who double standard.
So I'm just going to subtly walk towards the console and look at something. And then
The Girl in the Fireplace. It's no secret that Moffat's Doctor Who work is hugely inspired by The Time Traveller's Wife. There is a very common criticism of The Time Traveller's Wife, and it includes the word grooming. This criticism, as a result, also gets applied to a lot of Moffat's Doctor Who work. The idea that the Doctor reared Rinette at a young age and conditioned her onto a path of loving her childhood best friend. You see it in River, you see it in Amy. But if you've actually seen his own adaptation of The Time Traveller's Wife, you know that there's not a bad bone in him. There's nothing suspect in this. It's more so a romantic, universal idea that romantic partners create each other. When time travel was introduced to it, just a bit more literally. But those other stories also have something The Girl in the Fireplace does not. This story, I think, does miss some crucial context. And I do think the Rinette relationship is genuinely, actually, eyebrow-raising. It's accidental, I'm sure of it, because in 2005 and 2006, Moffat is exploring two ideas. Number one, romances can be bootstrap paradoxes. Idea number two, the Doctor fucks. And because both writer and actor play it as this nerd getting his first kiss, and discovering love and discovering romance, that idea does not complement The Time Traveller's Wife. Those are two ideas that do not mesh. But you don't really even notice, because Sophia Myles looks like she's 30, and Girl in the Fireplace is in fact quite good. So yeah, it's a bit clumsy, and its combination of ideas are unfortunate. But yeah, I've seen worse. 31. The Green Death. CSO! A lot of confidence placed in CSO results in some very, very bad effects. Yeah. And I think that adds to a sense in the Green Death that you don't need the giant dragonflies. The giant sci-fi bugs are actually a bit of a distraction. Because Green Death is so rooted in reality, I think at times the fantastical elements almost feel unwelcome. You don't need a giant computer called Boss. I like that he's here, he's very funny, but we could absolutely do this story with contemporary Britain. And it might even be slightly more unique for it. 30. Evil of the Daleks. Ooh, well, episode 1, right? Episode 1 is terrible. Episode 1 is actual filler. And listen, we don't use the F word on this channel. The Daleks set up an elaborate trap involving a van. They take away the TARDIS, and the Doctor and Jamie run around London looking for it for 25 minutes, and it's terrible.
Don't look so depressed, Doctor.
And it adds nothing to the story. It was just a one-episode buffer, I guess. There's also lots of big leaps in this story. Because Evil of the Daleks isn't very well paced, not a lot happens for moments at a time. Jamie will get captured and run back out and get captured and run back out. But even with this many parts, we've got a long runtime, and big events just sneak up on us. Skaro is completely unguarded. The human factor spreads too quick. The Dalek Civil War starts and ends too quick. And that's just because there's a strange use of runtime. 29. The Mummy on the Orient Express. So, why would a military invent a slow soldier that gives its victims 66 seconds of warning? Yeah, my issue with this one is a nerdy plot hole. I don't think the monster makes sense. The monster rules are silly. It's a moment where its existence as a Doctor Who TV monster just becomes a bit too apparent. In this era especially, it's like every other villain wants to be the Weeping Angels and have a gimmick and rules to the gimmick before the monster gets here. The story has no explanation on why the mummy does this. Give the enemy a chance to surrender? Has it gone faulty? That's a weird fault. Yeah, the Ultimate Warrior, it kills you, but you have 66 seconds, due to the arbitrary nature of Doctor Who villains. And that, in turn, makes the mystery a cheat. The Doctor works it out, but there's no rhyme or reason for how it operated. So that was just for us. That was just for us as viewers. Still a fantastic story, though. 28. Extremis. I think we're all agreed on this one. The vault reveal is disconnected and unceremonious. Who's in the vault? Oh, it's Missy. Here she is. It's like Moffat stitched a TARDIS-ode at the beginning of his script that underruns. I was so invested in the series arc mystery of Series 10 that this was a real disappointment on broadcast. I know now that it's actually one of Capaldi's very best, but it's not helped by this strange first 10 minutes, and it has a catalyst effect. The actual monk simulation story is rushed. Of course it is. All of the plot happens in the White House. The exposition, the action, and the resolution, they all happen in one scene. The Doctor went off screen and came back with all of the answers and a witty metaphor about Super Mario. And although this isn't the end of the monk story, it's the end of the simulation. We don't come back to that at all. Missy and Moffat tried to ruin the episode together. 27. Poison Sky. Well, we have Donna, and we've got Wilf, and we've got Units. Oh, yep, Units back. We've got Martha. We went to great lengths to bring back Martha. Poison Sky benches everybody in favour of Luke Rattigan. They're all very much in the background whilst we focus on a rapey boy genius. He gets more of an arc than Donna does. I don't hate him. Okay, I hate him a bit, but you're meant to. I just don't know why he gets this amount of screen time. And why did we go to the lengths of a Martha Jones time skip if we're just going to put her in a vat of goo? Talking about returning companions, 26, School Reunion. In School Reunion, there are bat people who feed children chips so that they become smart enough to hack the universe with their ICT studies monitors. The plan is lame. On one hand, it's okay. It's not the focus. The Krillitanes are villains of the week, led by an amazing Anthony Head performance, rest in peace. But God, it's lame. I also always found it weird that the Krillitanes encouraged the adults to eat the chips.
Do try the chips.
Oh, I'd love to, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Let's present the investigative journalist with our brain chips. The chips that make her get smarter. That can't go wrong at all. Goddamn School Reunion rocks. I don't even care, man. I can nitpick, but I don't care. 25, Utopia. Martha is completely reactive. There's nothing for her to do in Utopia. And this is the final stretch of Martha as a companion. This is the beginning of her final story. She very much gets sidelined and paired off with Chantho rather than Jack, the person she actually should be talking to. And I get that these pairings need to happen, but I think Martha would be more curious than this. When we get to the end and the Doctor's screaming in her face and the Master's coming back from ancient Gallifrey, you can just see Martha Jones in the middle of it all looking like a spare part. The arc is fantastic. It so often gets left behind in these kind of discussions, but I will admit it's better on paper, and it does peak at the beginning. This is definitely a case of the premise being stronger than the execution. There's a brilliant thing at the heart of this that I will not spoil, but it does feel like the story is meant to be, could be, a companion piece to the Aztecs. Everything that's saying about interfering in history.
You mean it was our fault that you took over because of the fever?
In part.
It doesn't hold a candle to that story in that regard, but the arc lands instead on like a moral. A 60s fable of an ending. A slap on the wrist. It's all a bit too light, when actually I think there was potential for real weight in there. The monsters are silly, the humans are silly, the Doctor is silly, and the plot is silly. And I love it for that. 23. Blink! I never talk about Blink. Have you heard? It's quite good. But, two things. It was never my favourite as a kid. Sometimes I would even skip over it. And it never scared me as a kid. I can only talk from my own experience. I know I'm the outlier on that. And it's because, like a lot of horror premises actually, this is not exclusive to Doctor Who, it's a monster with rules. You actually have to think about them and how they operate and what they can do. But that's the thing with movie monsters. You don't want to be thinking about them literally. Because number one, if you're thinking about the mechanics of the Weeping Angel, they're not scary anymore. And number two, under close scrutiny, lots of this plot doesn't work. The Easter eggs are all very clever. The stolen lifespan of characters, genius. But to make this stuff all as clever as it appears, you can't have any variables. Don't think about the timing of the Easter eggs. There's no way to know that recording on a camera in the 1960s will be played in the exact order and frame rate and medium to reach Sally Sparrow in the modern day. There are so many things that could go wrong on the way to Easter egg. The angels are also unobserved for most of the story, so why are they leaving clues around? Why are they letting Sally Sparrow walk around at all? They've had centuries to think this one through, but are actually fooled very, very easily. Moffat, of course, wraps it all up in a bootstrap paradox bow, but I'm only engaging with the story this literally because Moffat's kind of asking me to. It's all very clever, and as a result, very, very unlikely. 22. The Girl Who Waited. This one is like Mummy Orient Express again. The hospital. It's custom made to start an episode of Doctor Who. It's not really, think about it, it's not a believable environment. The way that the hospital treats patients and separates Amy from her friends is explained well, but it's mechanism first writing. I think this technology would cause more problems than it would solve. I'm not complaining because it results in a practically perfect bit of TV. With the magnifying glass in that room that gets the plot started, it's uber functional. The story's actually in a rush to get past it, and I don't blame it for that one bit. On a lesser note, nothing from this story really carries through on a character level. Rory comes to big realizations about the Doctor that finally get aired. You could argue that Rory has a quiet arc, but their relationship should be irrevocably changed. And then it just kind of isn't. But then again, that's not on this story, and I kind of like that Rory ends up agreeing with the Doctor. They both end the story equally guilty, and maybe there's something to bond over there. We just don't see it. 21. The Girl Who Died. Probably the most underrated story on here. This one is straight gold, with more comedy and Capaldi gravitas than you might recall. That said, I still turn it off before the final 10 minutes, because the story wraps up. And then, like we get so often in the Moffat years, there's an intrusive mini-sode in there. This is an epilogue that introduces Ashilda being immortal, and it commands so much runtime. You might call it necessary, but I tell you what wasn't, seeing the Doctor and Donna. Yeah, that flashback, it's too much. Don't literally show me Lucius's face. Capaldi playing multiple roles does not need a nerdy in-text explanation. Honestly, I think this is too dorky for words, and it shows the whole episode up a bit. You need to save someone. Just someone, Doctor. Thank you, Catherine Tate. I will take this intrusive memory and resurrect my girlfriend at the end of time. No, man, come on, trust your audience. Earthshock is my childhood favourite. But after all this time, after all these years and all these rewatches, I could not tell you what the plot is. Maybe this one is user error, yeah, I'll grant you that. But it's hard to remember, at the least. What's with the cave? What is that setting up? What is the Cybermen's plan? All of this stuff I completely forget to make room for Beryl Reid and Adric meeting the dinosaurs. 19. Wild Blue Yonder. Yeah. Wild Blue Yonder was probably a sign of things to come. In isolation, it's still pretty great, but not without its fair share of RTD-isms. There's a lot of cringe in here. Salt. It's a war song. Mavity. Mrs. Bean. It's just funny, right? Right, Mrs. Bean? Yeah, sure was. We all know what you're talking about. So those little slivers of cringe do still sneak in. My bigger worry with Wild Blue Yonder is, as good as the story is, it could be entirely empty. It could be my version of 73 Yards, where everyone projects crazy, interesting interpretations onto it, but it's not there in the text. That's my biggest fear. It's my biggest fear of art. That there's absolutely nothing there, and we've just imprinted on a story written by a writer who doesn't think much of us, and who isn't big on subtext, historically. Maybe we've imprinted on a story that is actually about nothing, to people walking down a Doctor Who corridor. Because you have to remember, the episode that follows this is The Giggle, which everybody thought would have more going on upstairs, and then it refutes that completely. It's a nostalgia-loving blockbuster. I truly believe that Wild Blue Yonder is about Russell's own relationship with the show, why he needs to come back and not other people. A fair claim that these characters are his, and that imposter versions of the Doctor and companion should not fly off in the TARDIS to go on new adventures outside of his control.
Blood and fury and hate. They made us like this.
Remember, next episode, Doctor Who's gonna come home to the Noble family. The villains are newly born, angry, copycats trying to play Doctor Who.
It makes us easier to copy.
Goosebumps like Braille. You're reading us, is that right?
Are the not things us? It's an interpretation, but I wouldn't have been doing this sort of stuff during Russell T Davies 1. That was more Moffat's bag. People also see conversations about AI in there, and a world that is getting more and more hateful with the not things. There's something in the back of my head that makes me a bit scared. If Rusty Davis had all these clever things to say, he would have told us. Be it in the episode itself, or he would have bragged about it in a behind-the-scenes interview for Doctor Who Unleashed. Is the writer laughing at me? Why are the curtains blue? Am I stuck bringing literary criticism to Doctor fucking Who? Listen, maybe I'm completely underestimating the man. On one hand, he just brought back the Midnight Entity. On the other, an episode like 73 Yards got released. So, is there meaning here? Should we keep looking for it? I don't know. All I do know is that this episode in particular owes the fanbase quite a lot. It's engaged, switched on fanbase that were honestly a couple steps ahead. Good luck keeping them, Russell.
18. Midnight.
Yeah, no, this one's all his. This is all him. I have, very little. Oh, that one bit of green screen that they left in the shot. Yeah, that. Absolute nitpick. Yeah, thank God. Otherwise, we would be stuck on this one, in all honesty.
17. Macra Terror.
Maybe the clothes machine. There's a crabs. I don't know if you guys have seen the crabs. That's crazy. The geography's too basic. Sam, what the fuck do you mean? The Macra Terror's geography is too basic? No, I mean like, come on. The world is a couple of rooms and you can tell. This massive colony is the size of a bungalow. And you can really tell because there's so much free roam in this story. Everywhere is accessible. There's no security. If you go downstairs, there's just a giant crab staring at you. So it's a very mysterious world that actually has very little mystery to it. Because it's so cute.
16. The Vampires of Venice.
It's really good, right? Is this one just me? Does anyone else rate The Vampires of Venice over Midnight? Honestly, I don't think I have a criticism. Yeah, because it's not trying to do that much. The villain plot is background. The emotional core of the side characters, background. I don't think it's very interested in its own story. Do you even remember what the villain plan was in this? They were gonna flood Venice for fish babies.
Blimey, fish in space have never been so buxom.
Fish people.
Move!
set up a creche. Actually, it's the story of a mum giving her son, her stud son, a harem. Taking Earth girls and converting them into something different. Maybe there's not so much different between the villain and Doctor Who. My criticism here, it's going to have to be like an odd errant bit of dialogue. I think the cuckoldry in season 5 is a bit mad. It was present with Rose and Mickey, yeah, sure. But now that Rory is an actual cast member, actual companion, I don't want to see him made the subject of a dick joke.
Ultraviolet portable sunlight.
Yours is bigger than mine.
Let's not go there.
I don't think this story gives Rory a good shake. Imagine Hartnell doing some dick measuring contest in the middle of one of his stories. Troughton, I see it. But the reason it's this high is because it's so committed to being a LARP. And it's a convincing one too. It looks great, it's committed to its own fun. And Matt Smith and Helen McCrory get to share screen time. Yeah, it's one of the greats.
15. Listen.
There's nothing wrong with Listen. Literally nothing. It's a perfect script. Listen risks being a massive anticlimax by pretending it's not a character piece. In fact, I'd actually argue that Listen and Hellbent are basically the same script.
The end of the universe.
And they're both quite adult stories. They gotta be, because they are wordy, and they are meditative, and they're about the program itself. So why does Listen then have a moral for children? Right? Like, go with me. Fear is a superpower. Awesome sentiment, written by somebody who truly understands the appeal of Doctor Who. Yes, but you're writing a story for children who aren't going to appreciate the talky one. This story and its message are geared towards an audience that aren't gonna view this as one of the fun ones. I don't know what I would have made of this as a young boy. I might have considered it one of the boring ones. Because it's quiet, there's a lot of dead air, and it's genius. It's a very grandfatherly story. But even though the moral is talking to children, it's not designed for them. It's designed for us, in retrospect.
14. The Husbands of River Song.
Not all. Not all. I do not like Matt Lucas. And he's annoying in this one. Whoa. When they said that he'd be joining the show as a regular. He got better. I suppose it's a bit silly that Riversong does not recognise the Doctor for this long while standing in the Doctor's TARDIS with the man who dresses like the Doctor and makes jokes like the Doctor. Maybe if this was Series 8 Capaldi, this would make more sense. But no, 12 in this story, for the sake of the comedy, which I wouldn't change for the world, he does act like her Doctor. He acts like Matt Smith. He acts like a Moffat Doctor. Riversong is stupid. But again, that's not a real criticism because I don't think it should be fixed.
13. Turn left.
Yeah, I don't like this mode of Russell anymore, but he used to be so good at it. The Proto, Years and Years. Written by a man still in touch with reality. At the core of it, Turn Left exists because Donna is an insecure character with no self-confidence. It shows that she is the most important woman in the universe. Everyone's not just saying it. Without her in the right place, the world would truly end. It's lovely, and it works in the 45 minutes of this story. But it has to be pointed out, Donna is important because of the Doctor. This happens a couple times. Holy shit, the more I think about it, I think Donna Noble might be the companion with the least agency in the whole revival. Yaz. Not very good treatment at all. It's missing the forest for the trees. Why is Donna important? Because she knows Doctor Who. It's very Russell-coded. Donna isn't important because everybody is important. Donna is important because of sci-fi coincidences. Sullying your point a little bit.
Number 12. The Doctor Falls.
Yeah, I think a lot of people expected this to be in my top 50. No, it's pretty great. But something I can't get past whilst watching it is the lighting. It's the colour grade. I'm not doubting the skill of Rachel Talale or Ashley Rowe, who was the DOP on this story. I just think that the Dr. Falls can look really ugly. Visually, it's not a fun time. I don't know why they did that to the episode. I've never told anyone this before. It's weird because half of the Dr. Falls are the most beautiful shots you've ever seen in your life, and then the other half are just noticeably off-center, grayed out, or shooting day for night, which I will never understand. You can tell that they've thought it through. The spaceship would not have natural sunlight, but I'm trying to watch TV here, lady. Be it the blocking, the lighting, or the color grade, I just hate half of the shots. I don't think they look good.
11. Praxeus.
Alright, yeah, you don't like that, but Praxeus above the Dr. Falls. That's okay. Praxeus has a warm place on my heart because I feel like it's the one time that Chibnall feels self-assured that he writes characters with humour and authenticity, and the whole thing just friends to work. Praxeus is confident. Unfortunately, there's just so many characters that one of the storylines is going to have to trail behind. And in this one, I think Ryan drew the short straw. Ryan and Gabriella, they just aren't up to much, which is a shame because I think I got to know everybody else in this story and they were serviced pretty well. You could probably drag and drop that character out and send Ryan to the shops. It is also a science story, and because it's a social issue science story, I don't expect any subtlety, actually the opposite, but the dialogue enters that instructional tone that you know all too well. Lots of Jodie Whittaker comes at you thick and fast. On to the final 10. From here, these are all stories so good that they actually should have been in the previous video. I probably just forgot them.
Number 10 is Oxygen.
And in Oxygen, our main trio are so captivating that there's no time left for the sidecast. Poor guys. The sidecast in Oxygen are complete non-entities. They have names. Apparently, I looked them up. This is Ivan, and this one's called Abby. So that's nice.
Number 9, Unearthly Child.
A lot rides on the beginning of the show. It's a story and a beginning so mythologized. Who could possibly critique it? And yet, I still have no fucking clue why he abducts those two teachers. I don't. An accidental kidnapping it's a very odd start to the series. Two people walk into his home, and the first Doctor's reaction is to panic and send them to the dawn of time. That's Doctor Who, I guess. As in, literally, that's the foundation. But I don't get it. The cavemen are good, you're just boring.
Number 8, Boomtown.
Go back and watch Boomtown. It's so good. Hey, quick question. Was Margaret going to literally surf on the surfboard? Like through space? Like in the browser game? That's crazy. I think Boomtown has a massive Davis Ex Machina in it. Because the TARDIS opening up and incidentally turning her into an egg is very morally convenient. It's not just convenient for the plot so we can all wrap up and go home. It actually just sort of shrugs at the core dynamic of the story. Is the Doctor a killer? Can he forgive? He doesn't have to now. And all of this happens through no means of his own. If she had not ripped up the TARDIS, the Doctor would have, I assume, sent her to go die. So it's great stuff. It's captivating. But Boomtown doesn't mean anything. It just raises a couple of uncomfortable questions, and then skirts out of them.
Number 7, Night of the Doctor.
Good luck, Sam. Bro, it's 4 minutes, and it's 4 minutes of absolute Doctor Who gold. What am I meant to say here? I think 8's list of companions.
Charlie, Carey's Lucy, Tamsin, Molly. Friends, companions I've known, I salute you.
Do we need that? Listen, all I've got are the nitpicks and personal preferences, because it's Night of the Doctor, and Night of the Doctor's phenomenal. because now the Doctor doesn't put a foot wrong in those 4 minutes. But I think this specific line, it's there for canon heads, and that's just not me. Ooh, they mentioned the Big Finish character. Big Finish confirmed canon. Come on, man. Where's Izzy? Why didn't he mention Izzy? And why does this matter anyway?
Number 6, War of the Centaurans.
Now, I like this episode fine. But I don't think it was appropriate for John Bishop and that Dogman to share that intimate scene together. I don't think that should have been on air. I think they should have cut that one out.
You're welcome.
War of the Centaurans is better than so many people give it credit for. It's a little nugget of gold in the mess that is Flux. And it was made during COVID. I just find that insane. But I think because of those conditions and the general mess of an arc it's attached to, I can't overlook those opening few minutes. I think it's got to be the way they get split up in the first 3 minutes. What's the point of that? That has to be like a production error. They did a rewrite and then realised that that Dan and Yaz are actually there. Just split them up at the beginning. It's so weird doing a false start as Dan and Yaz get spirited away. It's just contrived and a little bit awkward. That's the best I got.
Number 5, The Doctor Dances.
Is Jack's pivot into being a good guy too abrupt? Well, he's never really a bad guy. He's just a con man. But he has very few interactions with the Doctor. Definitely not enough to turn him into the raging Doctor fanboy he's going to be by the season finale, just like 2 episodes later. But they don't even have many scenes together. It's okay. It signifies to us that he's companion material, doesn't it? So that means I've got to come up with a real flaw. So much of this 2-parter just leads to this one moment at the end that's just a bit too clean. Everything clicks into place, which is really satisfying as a viewer and a little bit of a cheat as a writer. Nancy takes on her maternal role, claims her kid, and then the story ends. There was only one way to solve this story, and the Doctor works it out right at the very end. There's not much detective work going on, and there's not that much of a mystery. It's a horror story that has a really convenient last-minute fix. And actually, on that point, I think Nancy serves too many roles on paper. She's the agent of the story, she's the moral heart of it, she's our introduction to this world and the plots, and then she saves the day at the end. And she doesn't really cross paths with the Doctor that much. So if you really break it down, the story's just plodding along until it gets to its predestined ending. I don't know, it makes the story smaller than it had to be. You just don't care when it's on though, because it's a 10 out of 10.
The Rescue.
Great twist. Not much foreshadowing. It's a twist without the mystery. I guess that's okay. Also, for an introduction, Vicky is pretty light.
Number 3, The Androids of Tara.
Pop this one in. I'm so for real. Watch Androids of Tara again. It's a riot. The Monkey Man.
Number 2, The Fires of Pompeii.
Fires of Pompeii spends its runtime in all the right places, but as a result, you can't do everything. Here in the Pyrovile, we have some pretty underdeveloped baddies. The threat of the volcano itself, it escalates way too late and way too fast. Just everything in the volcano is a bit weak, really. The bit where they have to blow up Pompeii, it's just reheating Series 1's nachos. Then they get blown out of the volcano and land and are completely fine. And then they actually go and do the proper ending to the story, which is way better. When Fires of Pompeii has to put in the obligatory legwork to do the Doctor Who stuff, that's it at its weakest. When it's actually quite a introspective adventure.
And number 1, Vincent and the Doctor.
Man, I don't fucking know. The invisible alien? That works. Come on, it works for a guy that everybody thinks is crazy and can't see the demons and can't see the majesty and can't see the way he sees the world. Of course Vincent van Gogh can see the invisible evils of the universe. I got nothing. That's alright, we'll turn it into engagement bait. Try and find a flaw in Vincent and the Doctor. You'll say the alien, but it's not the alien. There's a secret second one. Thank you for watching, it's good to be back. Hope it sticks.